So let's start with the prayers. Om Gyantimirandhasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurulmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupadamayyam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Uta Padagamulam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sagara Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sa Advaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamtamsa Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunvadi Paschatya Desacharine Vancha Kalpadruvasya Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prem Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gautase Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishmhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Niracharnimasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Valbhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannathaye Te Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shiva Sadigaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna. So now we'll go through the remaining verses. So we are done till verse number 40, and now we'll be doing the remaining verses. So you can repeat this verse after me. Purtena tapasa yagge
Purtena tapasa yagye
Daner yoga samadhina
Dane yoga samadhina
Radhami shreyasam pumsam
Radhami shreyasam pumsam
Matpritistattvin matam.
Matpriti tatvin matam.
Please read translation purport.
It is the opinion of expert transcendentalists that the ultimate goal of performing all traditional good works, penances, sacrifices, charities, mystic activities, trances, etc., is to invoke my satisfaction. Prabhupada ki jai. There are many traditionally pious activities in human society, such as altruism, philanthropy, nationalism, internationalism, charity, sacrifice, finance, and even meditation in trance. And all of them can be fully beneficial only when they lead to the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The perfection of any activity, social, political, religious, or philanthropic, is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. This secret of success is known to the devotees of the Lord, as exemplified by Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. As a good non-violent man, Arjuna did not want to fight with his kinsmen, but when he understood that Krishna wanted to fight and had arranged it at Kurukshetra, he gave up his own satisfaction and fought for the satisfaction of the Lord. That is the right decision for all intelligent men. One's only concern should be to satisfy the Lord by one's activities. If the Lord is satisfied by an action, whatever it may be, then it is successful. Otherwise, it is simply a waste of time. That is the standard of all sacrifice, finance, austerity, mystic trance, and other good and pious work. Hare Bol.
Thank you. So, this verse very clearly speaks that everything is ultimately meant for Krishna's pleasure. Or if we have come to the level of understanding that the goal of life is samsiddhi haritoshna, satisfying Krishna, then everything is useful. And to the degree we don't understand, it is useless. So the whole purpose is to please Krishna. So that's what Lord Vishnu speaks in this verse. This is like very famous verse. So they're like really beautiful. Aham atmatmanam dhataha
Aham atmanam dhatah
preshtaha san presamapi
presthasan presam api
ato mayi ratim kuryat
ato mai ratim kurya
dehaderyat krite priyaha.
deha diryat kate priya.
Please read translation purpose.
I am the super soul. Please read through it.
Thank you. I am the super soul of every individual. I am the supreme director and the dearest. People are wrongly attached to the gross and subtle bodies, but they should be attached to me only. Purport. The Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, is the dearest in both the conditioned and liberated states. When a person does not know that the Lord is the only dearest object, then he is in the conditioned state of life. And when one knows perfectly well that the Lord is the only dearmost object, he is considered to be liberated. There are degrees of knowing one's relationship with the Lord, depending on the degree of realization as to why the Supreme Lord is the dearmost object of every living being. The real reason is clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita 15.7. Mami Vamsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. The living entities are eternally parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. The living entity is called the Atma, and the Lord is called the Paramatma. The living entity is called Brahman, and the Lord is called the Param Brahman, or the Parameshwara. Ishwaraha Paramaha Krishna. The conditioned souls who do not have self-realization accept the material body as the dearmost. The idea of the dearmost then spread all over the body, both concentrated and extended.
Devda Dhananjay, can you mute yourself?
The attachment for one's own body and its extensions, like children and relatives, is actually developed on the basis of the real living entity. As soon as the real living entity is out of the body, even the body of the most dear son is no longer attractive. Therefore, the living spark or eternal part of the Supreme is the real basis of affection and not the body. Because the living entities are also parts of the whole living entity, the Supreme living entity is the factual basis of affection for all. One who has forgotten the basic principle of his love for everything has only flickering love because he is in Maya. The more one is affected by the principle of Maya, the more he is detached from the basic principle of love. One cannot factually love anything unless he is fully developed in the loving service of the Lord. In the present verse, stress is given to focus love upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word kuryat is significant here. This means one must have it. It is just to stress that we must have more and more. We should have more and more attachment to the principle of love. The influence of Maya is experienced by the part and parcel spiritual entity, but it cannot influence the super soul, the Paramatma. The Mayavadi philosophers, accepting influence of Maya on the living entity, want to become one with the Paramatma. But because they have no actual love for Paramatma, they remain entrapped by the influence of Maya and are unable to approach the vicinity of Paramatma. This inability is due to their lack of affection for the Paramatma. A rich miser does not know how to utilize his wealth, and therefore, in spite of his being very rich, his miserly behavior keeps him everlastingly a poor man. On the other hand, a person who knows how to utilize wealth can quickly become a rich man, even with a small credit balance. The eyes and the sun are very intimately related because without sunlight, the eyes are unable to see. But the other part of the body, being attached to the sun as a source of warmth, take more advantage of the sun than do the eyes. Without possessing affection for the sun, the eyes cannot bear the rays of the sun. Or, in other words, such eyes have no capacity to understand the utility of the sun's rays. Similarly, the empirical philosophers, despite their theoretical knowledge of Brahman, cannot utilize the mercy of the Supreme Brahman because they lack affection. So many impersonal philosophers remain everlastingly under the influence of Maya because although they indulge in theoretical knowledge of Brahman, they do not develop affection for Brahman, nor do they have any scope for development of affection because of their defective method. A devotee of the sun god, even though devoid of eyesight, can see the sun god as he is, even from this planet. Whereas one who is not a devotee of the sun cannot even bear the glaring sunlight. Similarly, by devotion service, even though one is not on the level of Jnani, one can see the personality of Godhead within himself due to his attachment of pure love. In all circumstances, one should try to develop love of Godhead, and that will solve all contending problems.
Hari Hari. So, why should we love Krishna? Because it is natural to love Krishna. That is what is explained here. So, a similar question was asked by Parishit Maharaj to Sukhdev Goswami, even in the 10th canto. So, when this episode of Brahma Vimohan Leela was going on, so that time after just few days before the completion of 1 year, Balramji was seeing a very special phenomena. He was seeing that this cow herdmen were there on the Govardhan. They were tending the cows. And at that time, suddenly what happened is some older calves, which were around 1 year old or more than that, were going along with small gopas, and they were entering the forest. So as soon as cows saw the calves, they start running with great speed as if they had 2 legs. They were raising their tails and running so swiftly towards the calves. And then they started licking the cows. And these cow herdmen who were running behind the cows, they were very angry because they were not able to control the cows. But then as soon as they saw their own children, gopas, they started embracing them, kissing them, licking them, smelling their heads. So seeing that, Balramji was very surprised. Balramji said that these cows and gopas, it seems they are having affection for their children as they have affection for Krishna. So then Balramji thought that there is something wrong. So Parishit Maharaj asked question that what is so wrong in that? Because in general, people have more love for their children than other children, than neighbor's children or anyone else's children. So it's natural for anyone to have that love for their child. How is it possible that people can have more love for Krishna than their own children? So then Sukhdev Goswami starts answering. He says that actually we have love for our children, family, society, nation, because we have love for the body. Because we have they have connection with this body, that is why we have love for them. Similarly, we have love for this body because we have love for soul. And that is the reason, as soon as soul leaves the body, people don't preserve the body, they just burn the body. Rather, they purify the house. That means the actual love was the love for soul, not for the body. And people have love for soul, that is mean themselves as soul, because we are part and parcel of Krishna. So actual love is love towards Krishna, but then all other types of love are misdirected love. They are not the properly directed love. So it's natural for every living entity to have love for Krishna, because Prabhupada quotes in this purport, Mame Vamsa Jeev Loke Jeev Bhuta Sanatana. We are eternal part and parcel of Krishna. And that is what Lord says. That actually speaking, that natural love is supposed to be love for me. Atomamai ratim kuryat dihad vedyat krite priyaha. As people love their own bodies, similarly they should have love for me. Because actually natural love is for Krishna. So that is what Prabhupada explains here. And then he gives the analogy of sun and eye. So only when one has love for sun, one will look at sun, because otherwise one cannot bear the sun rays. So similarly, unless until one has love for Krishna, one will not have affection for Krishna. So having love only for sun rays and not for sun is very difficult. Similarly, having love for Brahman is very difficult. That is klesho adhikarastesam avyakta sakta chetsam. So it's very difficult. So now somebody can read the next translation. Yes, Diksha Matai.
By following my instructions, you can now generate the living entities as before by dint of your complete Vedic wisdom, and the body you have directly received from me, the supreme cause of everything.
Now he gives the instruction to Brahma for further service. That you already have Vedic wisdom which is given by me. Your body received by me directly, because you are born from the lotus directly from me. So you know me as the supreme cause of everything. Now what you should do the work of Prajapati, generate the living entities and let them have gross bodies by which they can enjoy this world, and let them fulfill their desire for sense gratification. So that is how Lord instructs Brahma. And last one, just read the 44th.
The sage Maitreya said, after instructing Brahma, the creator of the universe, to expand, the primeval Lord, the personality of Godhead, in his personal form as Narayan, disappeared.
So he gives last instruction to do the seva. And after giving that instruction, Lord disappears. So Lord completes his task and then he disappears. So that is our ending of chapter number 9. Now we'll go to chapter number 10. So just a minute, I'll share the material for chapter number 10.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, in purport it is written that before his activity in creating the universe, Brahma saw the Lord. That is the explanation of the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So, Prabhuji, Chatushloki Bhagavatam started in the second canto, no? So this is continuing. What does this 2 lines means as per Prabhupada?
Okay. So actually, this, if we see, the creation is repeated for the second time. It was already there in the second canto, now it is there in the third canto. So it is a similar incidents spoken again in a different episode. So the things are same, they are not different.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Now we'll go to the 10th chapter. Yes, now we have 10th chapter. Premanand Gopinath, you have a question?
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes.
Brahmaji, after seeing to Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, he has composed Brahma Samhita. Or this Shetadipa, the part Shetadipa, so where it is exactly?
Okay. So, that is after seeing this Garbhodaksha Vishnu only, not Sirodaksha Vishnu. Because suddenly Sirodaksha Vishnu's abode is there, but it is a part of, you can say, 14 planet system. It resides below Satyaloka, the Svetadipa. And Svetadipa has many planets, one of them is Dhruvaloka. So it's a planetary system of Svetadipa. So if you see physically, if you go from bottom to top, then it is below Satyaloka, but it is a spiritual planet. That's what we understand.
The Brahma Samhita has been written after seeing Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu face to face.
See, Prabhuji, we are not like very sure about it. The only information which Prabhupada has given is that he got darshan of the Lord and then he composed this particular Brahma Samhita. He got realization of the Lord. Now it is realization of Krishna, it is realization of Garbhodaka Vishnu. That is not very clear. And because we have only 5th chapter of Brahma Samhita, we don't have other chapters of Brahma Samhita. So for that it's very difficult to get the context.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Somebody has some other quotation, somebody knows, then they may share. Because I didn't find anything like that till now. Okay.
Also regarding what?
Brahma Samhita, did he write this Brahma Samhita immediately after this getting darshan of Garbhodaka Vishnu, or he got darshan of Krishna himself? So when did he write? That is what Prabhu's question. Okay, so this is chapter number 10. So Madhav was saying about charts. If you want chart, then I can share with you. You can just send me a message on my mobile. I'll send you a. This is my WhatsApp number, which is there on the chat. So I'll send to you. It's a part of Bhagavad Subodhi. It's from Bhagavad Subodhi.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, in this canto number 3, third canto, chapter 9, text number 4. Text number 4. And the discussions the Prabhupada writes, this present form or any transcendental form expanded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is equally auspicious for all the universes. Since you have manifested this eternal personal form upon whom your devotees meditate, I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Those who are destined to be dispatched to the path of hell neglect your personal form because of speculating on material topics. So this indicates that the personal form of the Lord. And here is Sri Krishna. So after seeing Sri Krishna, he has written, or after seeing the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu section, that is still a bit doubt comes. Later on, you can clarify my doubt.
Actually, I couldn't understand your last line. I couldn't hear your last line. Can you repeat your last line? I already heard what you spoke. Only last line I couldn't understand. Last question. Last line of that was a question, I think so.
Okay. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you, those who are destined to be dispatched to the path of hell.
No, you can just ask the question. I understood the translation. You can just ask the question.
My question is that here is written your personal form. So Lord is having the personal form. After seeing Lord Krishna in the personal form means directly one-to-one. After seeing him, he has written? Or after seeing Krishna he has written, or after seeing Garbhoda Gosai Vishnu he has written Brahma Samhita? That is my question.
Okay. That we are not sure, bro.
Okay.
We have to maybe do some research work on when did it happen. But because one problem is that because we have only chapter number 5 of Brahma Samhita. Iswaparam Krishna is the chapter number 5. We don't have chapter number 4. So it's very difficult to understand the context. We don't have other chapters also. We have only chapter number 5 out of some devotees said that there are 100 chapters. But the only one which is available of Brahma Samhita is chapter number 5. So very difficult to find unless until some acharyas have commented. So when we are talking about the personal form, here it is very clear it is Garbhodaksha Vishnu. There's no doubt about it.
Okay. Thank you.
But for Brahma Samhita, we are not whether it's Garbhodaksha Vishnu or Krishna.
Yes.
Okay, so this is thank you. So now this is a subsidiary creation by Brahma, which is explained in chapter number 10. So this chapter is called Divisions of Creation. So first 3 verses are Vidura's inquiries about creation done by Brahmaji. Then verse number 4 to 9 explains how Lord Brahma created 14 worlds, 14 planetary systems. Then the characteristics of times are given 11 to 13. And then 10 divisions of creation are there. We'll explain it more through chart at the end. So that is from 14 to 30. So that is how this particular chapter is divided. Now we'll just enter into the slokas. So first 3 verses are Vidura's inquiry. So we can just read a translation. All 3.
Sri Vidura said, O great sage, please let me know how Brahma, the grandfather of the planetary inhabitants, created the bodies of the living entities from his own body and mind after the disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 2. O greatly learned one, kindly eradicate all my doubts and let me know of all that I have inquired from you from the beginning to the end. Text 3. Suta Goswami said, O son of Bhrigu, the great sage Maitreya Muni, thus hearing from Vidura, felt very much enlivened. Everything was in his heart, and thus he began to reply to the questions one after another. Great.
So addressing Sonak as son of Bhrigu, this Sud Goswami says that you can understand it. And because you can understand it, so that's why I will explain it to you. So because Lord is there in the heart of every living entity, so Maitreya Muni, he could understand Vidura's inquiry. And then he started answering. Because Vidura wanted to know about further creation also now. So now 4 to 9 is how Brahmaji creates the 14 worlds. Please read 4th, 5th and then 5th purport.
The great learned sage Maitreya said, O Vidura, Brahma thus engaged himself in penances for 100 celestial years as advised by the personality of Godhead and applied himself in devotional service to the Lord. Text 5. Thereafter, Brahma saw that both the lotus on which he was situated and the water on which the lotus was growing were trembling due to a strong, violent wind. So, purport for text 5. The material world is called illusory because it is place of forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. Thus, one engaged in the Lord's devotional service in the material world may sometimes be very much disturbed by awkward circumstances. There is a declaration of war between the two parties, the illusory energy and the devotees. And sometimes the weak devotees fall victim to the onslaught of powerful illusory energy. Lord Brahma, however, was sufficiently strong by the causeless mercy of the Lord, and he could not be victimized by the material energy, although it gave him cause for anxiety when it managed to totter the existence of his position.
So what Prabhupada is explaining here is that despite being instructed by the Lord, despite following the instructions of the Lord very, very carefully, even then Brahmaji had trouble. She was sitting in lotus and he was seeing this lotus was shaking because of the turbulent wind. And this wind was not ordinary wind. Kalakrit Virena, this wind was wind of devastation. So when devastation happened, the winds blow, it was that wind. So it could have devastated anyone, and that problem came in Brahma's life. And we find similar thing with that means what we have to learn is that many times we have a question that no, we have been given service. It is not our service, it is Krishna's service only. And despite that, so many troubles come. Despite that, so many troubles come. Or sometimes devotees take risk for Krishna's service by doing certain services which are very risky, where one can become victim of Maya. And devotee goes there and he becomes victim. So ultimately he went for Krishna service only and then he becomes a victim. So why does it happen? So we can find this from the example of Brahma, and which Prabhupada is pointing out that there is a constant fight between devotion service and Maya. That is always going on. So anybody can become a victim at any time. So just because one followed the instruction of Krishna, just because one is doing service of Krishna, that doesn't mean that one can never become victim. So one has to become internally very strong, very strong. Internally, one has to become strong by cultivating proper Krishna consciousness. And suddenly, even if one becomes a victim, one should not just stop there. One should continue practicing Krishna consciousness. So the worst thing is to give up. So one may be in any situation, one will be beaten down by Maya very badly, but those who give up lose the race. So if we continue, then we can progress in spirituality. But this is something which we can learn from Brahma. That Brahma he was instructed by Krishna to create. He was given instruction what to do before creation. He followed those instructions very seriously by doing tapasya for 100 celestial years. Despite that, now again trouble was coming. Please read next translation and purport.
Long penance and transcendental knowledge of self-realization had matured Brahma in practical knowledge, and thus he drank the wind completely, along with the water. Purport. Lord Brahma's struggle for existence is a personal example of the continued fight between the living entities in the material world and the illusory energy called Maya. Beginning from Brahma down to this age, the living entities are struggling with the forces of material nature. By advanced knowledge in science and transcendental realization, one can try to control the material energy which works against our endeavors. And in modern age, advanced material scientific knowledge and penance have played very wonderful roles in controlling the powers of the material energy. Such control of the material energy, however, can be most successfully carried out if one is a soul surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and carries out his order in the spirit of loving transcendental service.
So Prabhupada is accepting that currently people are displaying such wonderful powers of controlling the material energy, putting things into satellite and communication systems nowadays. So things are like so fast, and one can communicate everywhere. But then one can be more successful in that only when one is surrendered to Krishna. If not that, then one can control in one hand and one will be controlled by other hand, on the other hand. Now, for example, one can have very powerful communication systems like we have today, but instead of utilizing them for one's own work, one can be utilized by them. And that is why we find, especially I remember the days when Geo came. Geo was free for 1 year. So it was like a big revolution in communication system of India. So we had a lot of power. But then that 1 year I found so many devotees became victim of Maya and many left Krishna consciousness. So reaching especially the youths. So many people became victimized. So we on one hand we have some control of Maya, material energy, and then we become victim of material energy. So only those people who have surrendered to Krishna, they can utilize the material energy and control it for the purpose of serving Krishna. If we are not careful, then we may win in one direction but lose in another direction. So the purpose of control is lost. So that's exactly what Prabhupada is explaining here. Let's see from other acharyas. Okay. So that's why Prabhupada. Now you can read 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Thereafter, he saw that the lotus on which he was situated was spread throughout the universe, and he contemplated how to create all the planets which had previously emerged in that very same lotus. Thus engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Brahma entered into the whole of the lotus, and as it spread all over the universe, he divided it into 3 divisions of worlds and later into 14 divisions. Lord Brahma is the most exalted personality in the universe because of his causeless devotional service unto the Lord and mature transcendental knowledge. He therefore created all the 14 planetary systems for inhabitation by the different types of living entities.
So now we can imagine, actually we are there inside the lotus. So not only Brahma is born there, we all are born there. Only thing is Brahma is able to see it as part of Lord Narayan, or sorry, part of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and we are not able to perceive. So that is a big difference. So Brahmaji could understand and relate each and everything with the Supreme Lord very easily. Because he saw that how this lotus has come from Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And if we can see everything connected to Krishna, then we are not into illusion. If we can't see things connected to Krishna, then we are in illusion. That is what we learned in Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. Hritayartam yat pratiyeta na pratiyechatmani tad vidyat atmanamayam yatha bhaso yatatamah. So, if we see something is artham, something is valuable, but we are not able to see its connection to Krishna, tad vidyat atmano mayam. That is called Maya. And Brahmaji was able to see that. So fixed in the creation of planets, he divided one lotus into 3 parts, 1, 2, 3. And then Brahmaji further divided it into 14 divisions, so that different forms and different species can stay there. So first he divided it into 3, and then he divided it into 14. And then he divided them into more, because each of the planetary systems also have many planets, like Sun, Moon, and so many other planetary systems. Planets are there. In this way, this Brahma, Viraj Brahma, he creates everything. Okay. So as universal form was entrusted to Brahma, so Brahma was meditating on that. He was meditating that Lord through a mantra without material desire, and that is why he was able to create it. Because this Virat Roop, universal form of the Lord, was already a blueprint for universe. So he could meditate on that form. Okay, Virat Roop, here is the sun, here is the moon, here is this, he is this and planetary system, that planetary system, and that is how he created the 14 planetary system. So Lord already as a Virat Roop has shown the blueprint of the creation to Brahmaji. And then please read text 10. Okay, Premanand Krishna. You can just read text 10 and then ask question.
Okay. Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O my Lord, O greatly learned sage, kindly describe eternal time, which is another form of the Supreme Lord, the wonderful actor. What are the symptoms of that eternal time? Please describe them to us in detail. Prabhuji, my question is that Brahmaji was meditating on that mantra meditation. What is that mantra? Can you please tell me?
So I could just see mantra only. This is from Vishnu Sakhi Thakur's purport. So I can just read the line. The production of particular places suitable for the particular individual bodies and the parts of the universal form was entrusted to Brahma, because Brahma was mature in meditation and worshipping using mantra without material desire. What is impossible with the strength of meditation? So we are not sure about this particular mantra, but suddenly we know one thing, that we know the mantra by which he worships Krishna. That is given in Brahma Samhita. So that particular yantra, I just forgot the verse now. That is actually second last Gayatri which we chant.
Okay, got it.
Second last Gayatri which we chant, that is the mantra. For Krishna, that is very clear. So, but here which mantra he was chanting, we are not very sure. But while worshipping Krishna, he chants second last Gayatri mantra. So now, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, in text number 9, it was written in the last line, we parar the time. This time, I think you explained it before also. So, Prabhuji, can you repeat this? We parar the time when they are generally liberated from the chain of birth and death in the material world.
So one pararda is 50 years of Brahma, first 50 years. Second pararda is second 50 years. So Brahmaji's life is divided into 2 parardas, first 50 years and second 50 years. Currently, Brahmaji is having first day of 50th year. So he's having golden jubilee celebration. So we are a part of that. So it is the first day of Brahmaji's 50 years. He's now 51st year.
First day of first 50 years.
My 50 years are over, and then currently first day is going on. So it is the birthday of Brahmaji. So we can, if you want, we can celebrate the golden jubilee celebration of Brahmaji today.
Prabhuji, I'm sorry, I could understand. First day of the first 50 years have passed, and then the second kapela.
Second, it's like yesterday, according to calculation of Brahma, his 50 years had ended. So this is the first birthday. Not 50 years. Okay, Dhananjay Pro.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam. So first it says that the after he drank all the wind and the water, the lotus pod spread on the entire universe. So and then he divided into three. Now subsequent chapter we see that the three is higher planet, middle planet, and lower planets. And then finally the structure of the universe, we see that above the leaf is the upper planet, surface of the leaf is the middle planet, and under the surface of the leaf is the third planet. So when here Brahmaji, when he is separating, dividing this lotus, it is only the lotus whorl or entire lotus plant which is coming from the navel of the Garbhodaksha Vishnu. How we understand from it.
Okay, so what I can understand, really speaking, not from directly statements, but for comparing this particular creation along with fifth canto description. So what I can understand is that maybe the stem of the lotus is lower planetary systems, because this surface of the world of the lotus, that looks more like a Bhumandal, because Bhumandal is also compared to be like lotus. So that may be, but I am not very sure. So if I superimpose like both the description of the fifth canto and the description given here, then I can speak a little bit about it. But because we don't hear this directly from any Acharya's purports, so very difficult to predict. But in fifth canto also we see, fifth canto also, this Bhumandal, the plane, that is compared to lotus. So if we say that this lotus and that lotus is same, then we can say that this above part is 14 planetary systems, this Bhumandal. If we go to below, that means towards the stem portion. Then inside the Bhumandal, there are other lower planetary systems, which is like inside the caves. So then we may say that, okay, these are maybe in the stem part. I know it will be confusing because we have to go in the detail of fifth canto.
Yeah.
So it is not like
Yes.
Earth. Because in Earth, now this is like according to one of the models which is accepted by many devotees worldwide, is that Earth is like a golf ball kept on the Bhumandal. So Bhumandal is not just Earth planet alone. It is part which in which Earth stays. So they're like one of the most talked about and discussed topic in ISKCON, especially after this POEP has come up. So I had this model by Pavaneshwar Prabhu. So Pavaneshwar Prabhu has explained this model. But again, is it the same lotus, not a different lotus? So very difficult to speak. Structure is really. But one good thing is he has consulted Bhugol Nirnay, one of the books by Madhva Sampradaya Acharyas. So it has quite a good amount of authenticity. May not be 100%, but quite a good amount of authenticity.
I was also referring to Pavaneshwar Prabhu, all these lectures. There he says that there's all the top planet, like Bhumandala is the surface of the leaf, and all the below 7 planets are under the surface of the leaf. That is what he is all shown in his diagrams also. And so the upper planet is above the surface of the leaf. So because earlier understanding was that all the 14 planetary system, it is on the stem of the lotus. But from his graphical descriptions, it says that from the surface of the leaf is the Bhumandala, and underneath, and that is a terracotta structure, and underneath is the below 7 planets. So the top 7 planet is above the surface of the leaf. So the stem consists of only these 7 planets, and other planet is below the surface of the leaf, and Bhumandala is the surface of the leaf. So that is what he has explained in all his lectures.
And that is also what seems to me also to be true, because in the 5th canto also Sukdev Goswami compares Bhumandal to be like lotus. So it looks like that, but we can't go anywhere beyond that. What he has.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Arati Padarat Kamati writes that Hare Krishna Prabhuji, is Earth flat? Yeah, Earth is flat. Bhumandal is flat. Earth's planet is not flat. Bhumandal is flat. Earth's planet is not. So now we'll go to characteristics of time factors. So please read 11th and 12th. 11th, 12th and 13th, all three already.
Maitreya said, the eternal time is the primeval source of the interactions of the 3 modes of material nature. It is unchangeable and limitless, and it works as the instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pastime in the material creation. Text 12. The cosmic manifestation is separated from the Supreme Lord as material energy by means of kala, which is the manifested impersonal feature of the Lord. It is situated as the objective manifestations of the Lord under the influence of the same material energy of Vishnu. Text 13. This cosmic manifestation is as it is now. It was the same in the past, and it will continue in the same way in the future.
Yeah. So in this way, this time factor, as you see from the description, especially given here, Lord separates cosmic manifestation from himself by the means of Kal. So I don't remember the devotee who was explaining this particular. He innovated that Mataji, actually, she was Mataji, Prabhupada disciple, who explained it very graphically when I was attending her class in Mayapur. So she was relating with different Prabhupada lectures and explaining that how Lord separates himself from material energy by the means of Kal. So what is meaning of separation by Kal? Means separation with time factor. So like Prabhupada would say, that when I am speaking, there is no confusion that I am speaking. So directly hearing from Prabhupada when Prabhupada was present, that time we were receiving is, in one way, this is just for analogy, internal energy. So if Prabhupada is speaking and we are hearing directly, if we are sitting there, then there is no confusion that Prabhupada is existing. But Prabhupada's recordings are his separate energy by time. So we are hearing those same lectures of Prabhupada which are separate from him maybe after 50 years. So 50 years, 45 years, after that we are hearing his recordings. So that is how they are separate by the means of time factor, and that is why they are called external energy. Now after next 20,000 years, let us say, somebody may hear some same recording and say that there was no one like Prabhupada. It is like, no, there was some recording and people called that he's Prabhupada and end of the story. There were two Prabhupads maybe. And this person is different, that person is different. This is exactly what people talk about Krishna today. So people have written books saying that Vrindavan Krishna was a different person and Dwara Krishna was a different persons, and they existed in different times, and people have mixed their stories. So people can cook up with anything, or they cook up with a philosophy saying that no, this is imagination. So in this way, when Lord separates himself by his call, people get an opportunity to become atheists. Because they can't see direct hand of God at that time. So for people who want to forget Krishna, Lord allows himself to be separate from his material energy by the means of Kal, which is explained here in the text number 12. So it is situated as the objective manifestation of the Lord under the influence of same material energy of Vishnu. And then what he says is, this time is cyclic in text number 13. That cosmic manifestation as it is now was there in the past and will continue in the future. So everything is cyclic. Everything is cyclic. Bhutva bhutva paliyate. So the creation and then devastation, then creation, devastation. Now that doesn't mean that everything is exactly same. Personalities may be different, occupying different bodies. So there will be Indra, Chandra, Vayu, Varun, but different posts. Similarly, there may be different personalities occupying different posts. Okay. Its cause is the Lord. It is divided by time, a form of the Lord's influence. Divided means that the So basically, Vidura asks a question, because the universe had a beginning and end, the universe must be unreal. How can unreal universe be divided? So Sukadeva Goswami answered, no, this cannot be said. This universe existed before the great devastation, and the devastation is over, it will exist. So it is not false but temporary. That means these descriptions of Bhagavatam very clearly indicate the fallacy of Mayavad theory. Like Mayavadis say that Brahma Sattam Jagat Mithya. If this world was Mithya, why such a description of the creation is given? So the very fact that a detailed description of creation is given is to show that this world is temporary but not false. But not false. Why Vyasdev has to waste so much of time just writing some fantastic stories? So because this is truth. Whatever what Vyasdev has written is truth. Okay, now there are further creation explained. Please read from 14, 15, 16.
There are 9 different kinds of creation, besides the one which naturally occurs due to the interactions of the modes. There are 3 kinds of annihilations due to eternal time, the material elements and the quality of one's work. Of the 9 creations, the first one is the creation of Mahatattva, or the sum total of the material ingredients, wherein the modes interact due to the presence of the Supreme Lord. In the second, the false ego is generated, in which the material ingredients, material knowledge, and material activities arise. The sense perceptions are created in the third creation, and from these the elements are generated. The fourth creation is the creation of knowledge and of working capacity.
Yeah. So I hope you are able to remember the whole chart when you are going through all these verses. How one by one all these things were created. So these things are already we have discussed in 2 times, first in the second canto and now third canto, the previous unit. Please continue. 17th.
The fifth creation is that of the controlling deities by the interaction of the mode of goodness, of which the mind is a sum total. The sixth creation is the ignorant darkness of the living entity, by which the master acts as a fool.
Yeah, so this one is the creation of basically avidya. So after the controlling deities, that is demigods are created from mode of goodness. And then comes the ignorant darkness of the living entity. So what I'll do at the show it through a chart at the end.
Thank you.
Please.
Guruji. Must needed, because in that chapter when we did, it was like, for me it was very new. I was seeing everything. So again, it would be help to do the revision. All the above are natural creations by the external energy of the Lord. Now hear from me about the creations by Brahma, who is an incarnation of the mode of passion, and who in the matter of creation has a brain like that of the personality of Godhead.
Premanand Gopinath.
Yes. Prabhuji, the text number 17, the sixth creation is the ignorant darkness of the living entity, by which the master acts as a fool. The meaning, Prabhuji?
Okay. So is there a purport in that? You can just see. I'm not currently having access to the.
Yes,
You can just read the purport.
the demigods in the higher planets are called devas because they are all the devotees of Lord Vishnu. Vishnu Bhakta Smrito Deva Asuras Tat Viparyaya. All the devotees of Lord Vishnu are devas or demigods, whereas all others are asuras. That is the division of the devas and the asuras. Devas are situated in the mode of goodness of material nature, whereas the asuras are situated in the modes of passion or ignorance. The demigods or controlling deities are entrusted with departmental management of all the different functions of the material world. For example, one of our sense organs, the eyes, is controlled by light. Light is distributed by the sun rays, and their controlling deity is the sun. Similarly, mind is controlled by the moon. All other senses, both for working and for acquiring knowledge, are controlled by the different demigods. The demigods are assistants of the Lord in the management of material affairs. After the creation of the demigods, all entities are covered by the darkness of ignorance. Each and every living being in the material world is conditioned by his mentality of lording it over the resources of material nature. Although a living entity is the master of the material world, he is conditioned by ignorance, by the false impression of being the proprietor of material things. The energy of the Lord, called avidya, is the bewildering factor of the conditioned soul. The material nature is called avidya or ignorance, but to the devotees of the Lord engaged in pure devotional service, this energy becomes vidya or pure knowledge. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. The energy of the Lord transforms from Mahamaya to Yogamaya and appears to pure devotees in her real feature. The material nature, therefore, appears to function in three phases: as the creative principle of the material world, as ignorance, and as knowledge. As disclosed in the previous verse, in the fourth creation, the power of knowledge is also created. The conditioned souls are not originally fools, but by the influence of avidya, function of material nature, they are made fools, and thus they are unable to utilize knowledge in the proper channel. By the influence of darkness, the conditioned soul forgets his relationship with the Supreme Lord and is overwhelmed by attachment, hatred, pride, ignorance, and false identification, the five kinds of illusion that cause material bondage.
So there are 5 points of this mental bondage. I'll just see this verse. Sasarjar Gyan Antasam Tamisram. Sasar. Right. So just a minute, I'll search the verse. So I'm not able to see the verse, but I remember the verse, so I can tell. The verse is called Sasad and the Tamisram, At Tamisram Adikrit, Mahamoham cha Moham cha, Tamas cha Gyan Vrittya. So there are 5 types of Agan Vrittis or coverings of ignorance that cover a person. So that is explained in this particular verse, which is called Avidya. Or it is also, according to Patanjali Sutra, it's called Avidya, Asmita, Rag, Dvesh, Abhinivesh. These 5 are there. So somebody can see that, or somebody expert in searching.
Prabhuji, can you repeat the first 3 words?
Sasar Jagre Ande Tamisram. Mahamoham. It has come for me. So this one is 3:12:2. We will be going through this verse, so you don't have to worry. So 3rd Canto, 12th chapter, verse number 2. So there we will discuss about all 5 types of Agan Vrittis. So then we will discuss about them in detail.
Prabhuji, still there's a doubt in this purport.
Mhm.
The material nature, therefore, appears to function in 3 phases: as the creative principle of the material world, as ignorance, and as knowledge.
So just let me see. 10.17. You are in which paragraph you are talking about?
Last but one, the material nature, therefore, appears.
Second last paragraph.
Okay, last paragraph.
Second last.
Second last. Okay.
The material nature, therefore, appears to function in 3 phases:
As creative principle of the material world.
as the creative principle of the material world, as ignorance, and as knowledge.
Okay. So this is something which we discuss a lot in Bhagavad Gita when we discuss Bhagavad Gita. So when we say material nature has different functions. One is material nature is also a Upadan Karan. Upadan Karan means there are metal ingredients which compose the entire metal creation. So that is also called creative principle of metal world. So this is one aspect of metal energy. Then other 2 aspects of metal energy are ignorance and knowledge. That's called Vidya and Avidya. So Vidya and Avidya both are parts of metal energy only. Avidya comes in mode of passion and ignorance. Vidya comes from mode of goodness. But still, both of them are part of metal energy only because they all are part of 3 modes of metal nature. So Avidya comes from mode of passive ignorance, Vidya comes from mode of goodness. And that is the reason whenever Jnanis want to enter in Brahman, they have to give up Vidya also, not just Avidya. They have to give the Vidya also. So it is there in, I think, 11th Canto, chapter number 19, verse number 1. Jnanam cha mai sanyaset. I don't remember the chapter number, it's mostly 11.19.1. Maybe I can search again. 19.1. It's 11.19.1, sure. Same, so somehow I quoted the right verse. So in this verse, Krishna says, Jnanam cha mai sanyaset. That means even if somebody wants to enter in Brahman, one has to give up Jnana or Vidya also. Because Vidya is also in 3 modes of material nature. So Jnanis have to forget the knowledge by which they have achieved the understanding that I am not this body. Because if you remember that I am not this body, concentration is still on the body only. And if you concentrate on body, you will come back. That is why Jnanis have to give up even that knowledge that I'm not this body if they want to enter in Brahman. Why? Because this Jnana is also in mode of goodness. One has to transcend mode of goodness to enter in pure goodness. So this is the third aspect which Prabhupada is talking about. So does that answer your question, Premanand Gopiyanti?
Yes, sorry. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so we had until 18th as far as I remember, or 19th.
18 Prabhuji.
18th. So now there is just secondary creation of different types of species by Brahma. So maybe then what I'll do before I enter 19th, I'll show you charts so that we can understand it properly. So we're talking about 10 types of creation which happened before Brahma. That is explained in these charts.
Nine of the 9 creations. There are 9 creations.
10 types of creation.
Now, text number 15 says of the 9 creations, the first one of the creation of the Mahatattva. The text number 15.
So, yeah, so this is like a primary creation, and then 10th one you can say the secondary one. So first 9 is like by Vishnu himself. So there are 3 types of destruction. Destruction by Kal, destruction of Dravya, and destruction of Guna. So these are 3 types of destruction which are explained. Hare Krishna. Come on. So Kal means due to eternal time there is destruction. Then devastation of all universes is there when Brahmaji, this Mahavishnu breathes in Brahmaji destroyed at that time. So this happens at the end of life of Brahma. This Kal. So due to eternal time there is devastation of the universe at the end of Brahma's life. Then Dravya means this happened at the end of Brahmaji's day. So at the end of Brahmaji's day, Lord Sankarshan, who is holding all the universes on the top of his heads, becomes very angry. Whole day of Brahma has passed and these rascals have not accepted Krishna consciousness till now. Premanand Gopinath was going to them, giving them Bhagavad Gita, telling them, take it, take it, take it. They were not accepting it. The Lord is very angry. And because of his anger, fire comes from his mouth. From that fire comes, that fire is also called sometimes Sankarshan. Sankarshan comes Sankarshan. And from Sankarshan, 11 Rudras come out and they devastate everything till Swargaloka. So that is the Dravya, devastation through Dravya. So, and then there is Guna. Guna means due to one's own actions, constantly we are giving up one body and accepting another body. So at every moment we are giving up one type of body and accepting another type of body. Constantly body is changing. That is Guna. So this is another type of destruction. And of course, the final one is called Atantiki, which is not explained here. It is explained in the 11th canto. That is when we give up this whole world and go back to God. There is actual destruction for all of us. So these are 3 types of destruction. So these are 6 types of creation, primary creation. Already you have learnt all of them. So I won't go in detail. So how Mahatattva is there, and then Mahatattva, actually it is initially Pradhan is there. Pradhan is agitated, it turns into Mahatattva. Mahatattva divides into 3 parts. Mahatattva in mode of goodness, mode of passion, ignorance. So goodness is called buddhi tattva. Matattva and mode of passion is called sutra tattva. Ignorance, and in ignorance it is called ahankar, false ego. From that ahankar also it divided into three parts. From mode of ahankar and mode of goodness, so mode of ignorance comes material ingredients, dravya. From ahankar and mode of goodness comes jnana, sense devatas, mind and knowledge occurring senses. All right. And from mode of passion comes action of the senses, or material actions basically. So, and then further, if you talk about tanmatras, sense objects, they are generated from them generated, or they are generated using 5 gross elements, or covered by 5 gross elements. Then there are senses, 5 are karmendriyas, 5 are gyanendriyas. There are demigods by interaction of sattva-guna. And from tamoguna, these 5 types of coverings come, which make a person to fool. So these are 10 types. These are 6 types of primary creations. 4 types of secondary creation are there. So that is how 6 plus 4 is 10. So what are these 4 types that we are going to read now? I'm just telling it here so that we can get idea through the chart. So first are immovable plants. What are their characteristics? Their consciousness is not evident. So that's why at a point of time people were thinking that plants have no life. The consciousness is not very evident. The nourishment is upward. You put water in the root, nourishment goes upwards. That is their second characteristics. Then they feel pain when they're cut. And there are unlimited varieties. And generally they're said to be of 6 types. Vanaspatya means flowers without flowers, but having fruits. Ausadaya means annual plants. Lata means the one that needs support. Taskara means hollow, like bamboo. Viruda means they have stiff trunk but no support. And Droma means they give fruit through flowers. Those who give fruit without flowers are called Vanaspatya. The second one is lower species. They have horizontal nourishment. Dog eats from mouth and gets transferred in the whole body. So that's horizontal nourishment. No concept of future and deliberation. They're just absorbed in eating, sleeping, mating, defending. That's all. So they're preoccupied with eating and sleeping, and they understand the need by smelling. They smell and they say, "Oh, this is food," and they accept it. There are 28 types: 2 hooved, 1 hooved, 5 clawed. Then there are birds, land dwelling, and aquatics. So like this, there are 28 types. Then there are human beings. They have downward nourishment. We eat from mouth, it goes down. Human beings are patient by nature. They want to work very hard. That's why they're dedicated to work. And they think themselves happy even in distress. Even if you meet a person who's lying down in the hospital and you tell him, "How are you?" He says, "I'm very good. I'm fine." If he's fine, why is he lying down in hospital? So that is human being. And they are only of one type. Then there are demigods, which are of 8 types: Vibudhas, Pitris, Asuras, Gandharvas and Apsaras, Yakshas and Rakshasas, Siddhas, Charanas and Vidyadharas. Then those who stay between Bhuluk and Bhuvarlok, they are called Bhut, Pret and Pisach. And then there are someone who resemble the human beings who stay in Bhumandal only, in other Bhusvargas. They are called Kinnaras. Kinnara, kya ye nar hai? Is he nara? Or Kim Purusa, kya ye Purus hai? Is he Purus? So they all are resembling human beings, but they are actually demigods. So they are of 8 types. So this is the things explained concisely. Now we will go through them verse by verse. So we had done till, I think, 19th. We are supposed to start from 19. So please read 19, 20, 21.
The seventh creation is that of the immovable entities, which are of 6 kinds: the fruit trees without flowers, trees and plants which exist until the fruit is ripe, creepers, pipe plants, creepers which have no support, and trees with the flowers and fruits. All the immovable trees and plants seek their subsistence upward. They are almost unconscious but are feelings of pain within. They are manifested in variegatedness. The eighth creation is that of the lower species of life, and they are of different varieties, numbering 28. They are all extensively foolish and ignorant. They know their desirables by smell, but are unable to remember anything within the heart.
Yeah. So as we had explained, so plants, they get nourishment from down to up. We pour water and things on the root, and slowly it is transferred upwards. They feel pain when they're cut, and they have great variety. Great variety. Lower species, they have horizontal nourishment, and then they're generally foolish and ignorant about future, and this understand their needs by smelling. Okay, so now he gives examples also. Please read 22, 23, 24.
So within 21st, it is mentioned numbering 28. 84 lakhs of species we have heard, and here numbering 28, and probably more further.
Okay.
So how?
So what you do, you just read this and I'll show it in the chart.
Okay. 22. O purest Vidura, of the lower animals, the cow, goat, buffalo, Krishna stag, hog, Gavaya animal, deer, lamb, and camel all have 2 hooves. Further?
Yeah, please 23 and 24 also.
Okay. The hearse, mule, ass, gaura, sarabha, bison, and wild cow all have only 1 hoof. Now you may hear from me about the animals who have 5 nails. The dog, jackal, tiger, fox, cat, rabbit, kajaru, lion, monkey, elephant, tortoise, alligator, goshapra, etc. all have 5 nails in their claws. They are known as panchanakhas, or animals having 5 nails.
Okay, so you can read this 25th more, then you can go. 20.
The heron, vulture, crane, hawk, hasa, bhaluka, peacock, swan, sarasa, chakravaka, crow, owl, and others are the birds.
So I'll just see. So how Vishwanath Thakur's counting is, like all these animals are given, So in verse number 22, man animals are there. Let us see. Verse 22. You can see man are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes. So 9 he has counted here. And let us see next one.
It has 6 provision. 23rd has 6.
23rd has 6. 9 plus 6, 15. Then 24th has 12,
13.
13. Okay, so 28. So what was given there? 28 was given there, na?
Yes, in text number 21, it is mentioned numbering 28.
So that is how you got 28. Now you understood this 28, how it is given. So that is how they are given 28. And after giving 28, then these birds are mentioned in 25. Okay. So you need 26, 27. 27 is somehow not there in my notes. I forwarded. You need 26 and 27.
The creation of the human beings who are of. Prabhuji, did you tell to read now?
Yes. I told to read this. 26 and 27.
The creation of the human beings who are one of the species only and who stock their eatables in the belly is the 9th in the rotation. In the human race, the mode of passion is very prominent. Humans are always busy in the midst of miserable life, but they think themselves happy in all respects. Text 27. O good Vidura, these last 3 creations and the creation of demigods, the 10th creation, are Vaikrit creations, Vaikrit creations, which are different from the previously described Prakrit natural creations. The appearance of the Kumaras is both.
You need purport or 26. 26 is a good purport.
The human being is more passionate than the animals, and thus the sex life of the human being is more irregular. The animals have their due time for sexual intercourse, but the human being has no regular time for such activities. The human being is endowed with a higher advanced stage of consciousness for getting relief from the existence of material miseries. But due to his ignorance, he thinks that his higher consciousness is meant for advancing in the material comforts of life. Thus, his intelligence is misused in the animal propensities, eating, sleeping, defending, and mating instead of spiritual realization. By advancing in material comforts, the human being puts himself into a more miserable condition. But illusioned by the material energy, he always thinks himself happy, even while in the midst of misery. Such misery of human life is distinct from the natural, comfortable life enjoyed even by the animals.
Yeah. So this is the characteristic of a human being. So they find happiness even in the misery. So people live in such obnoxious places, despite that they think, no, we are very comfortable, we are very happy, and they adjust. Especially what happens is, in general, eating, sleeping, mating, defending is made very easy for the human beings. Like eating is concerned. So we can peacefully eat on our plate. Nice prasad is there, we can eat. But for animals, we will find sometimes 2 birds or 2 dogs fighting for one single piece of food. So lot of struggle there for eating. Same thing for sleeping also. So if you go in the roads, we'll find so many places. Sometimes dog is peacefully sleeping and some car passes by. A little bit sound is there, dog immediately gets up because he can't peacefully sleep. For mating, they have to fight so much. Especially males have to fight so much to get a female. And defending also, they have their claws and teeth and they have to really fight so much. But for human beings, they get married, they can have mating, they can nicely sleep in their place. And for defending, we have our locks, in the nation we have our army, etc. But when living entities, they don't live a natural life. Same eating, sleeping, mating, depending becomes more difficult than animals also. So you'll find sometimes when people, they work very hard, they don't get sleep even after taking sleeping pills. Or they are very insecure. Or when there are wars, especially in the places which are politically always very disturbed, people don't know whether if I sleep, I will get up or not get up. Currently, you can see what is happening in Ukraine. So when we defy God's laws, even eating, sleeping, mating, defending becomes more difficult than that of animals. So that is how human life, in human life in general, it is made very easy so that we can focus on higher truths, focus on spiritual truths. But if we miss it, then eating, sleeping, mating, defending becomes very, very difficult. Yes, on 27th, this verse,
To be read.
we had read it. So I'll just explain what is given there. So there are three secondary creations made by Brahma. So whatever Brahma creates is called Vaikrats. And whatever is created by Lord Vishnu is called Prakrits. But the creation of Kumaras is called both Prakrit and Vaikrat because they are created by Brahma. Okay, so what is about Kumaras given here? The creation of Devatas is also called secondary, but they are also part of primary creation. Who are they? The creation of Devatas from Ankar and Sataguna. That happened at the time when Mahavishnu created the sense demigods. And later on, there is also creation by Brahma that is called Vaikrats. And that is how the creation of Chatus Kumar is both Prakrit and Vaikrat. Okay. So creation of demigods is both Prakrit and Vaikrat. Prakrit is the one which is created by Vishnu. So these are the sense demigods or elemental demigods which are created by Mahavishnu. And then I don't know whether I explained before also that there is also another set of demigods which is created by Brahma. So this set of demigods change 14 times in one day of Brahma. So in each Manvantar, Indra, Chandra, Vayu, Varun, Saptarishis, they all change. They are like positions which change. Whereas we also had already discussed about the sense demigods or elemental demigods at the beginning of creation. That is just after 24 elements were created, elemental devatas were also created. When Mahan Ahankar interacts with mode of goodness, then these demigods are created. So that is different from this. Okay, so these are that's why demigods are both Prakrit as well as Vaikrat. Okay, so similarly, Kumaras are also both Prakrit and Vaikrat. They are also demigods. Okay, now only three are remaining, 28, 29, 30. Then just read 28, 29, 30.
The creation of the demigods is of 8 varieties. The demigods, the forefathers, the Asura or demons, the Gandharvas and Apsaras or angels, the Yakshas and Rakshasas, the Siddhas, Charanas and Vidyadharas. 7th, the Bhuta, Preta and Pishachas. 8th, the superhuman beings, celestial singers, etc. All are created by Brahma, the creator of the universe. Text 30. Now I shall describe the descendants of the Manus, the creator Brahma, as the incarnation of the passion mode of personality of Godhead, creates the universal affairs with unfailing desires in every millennium by the force of Lord's energy.
Okay. Yes, Vishnu Kanta Mata, you have a question?
Prabhuji, I want to ask, it's Dekrat and Prakat is same as Sarg and Visarg. This time.
Okay. Yes, we can say. I guess Sarg and Visarg are like both the, as far as, yes, Sarg and Visarg, yes. We can say Sarg and Visarg. So Sarg also has two parts. One is called Karan Srishti, another is called Kara Srishti. And after this Kara Srishti, then you can say Visarg or secondary creation. That is part of Vyakrat. So that definition is right. Prakrit and Vyakrat. You can say Sarg and Visarg. Yes. Amal Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I just wanted to know, see, in the plant section, it said that when they are cut, they feel the pain. If they feel the pain, then why did, like, we are cutting the plants practically every day for eat our food. And especially Tulsi Maharani, why is it, like, I can't, it's just difficult to understand.
Okay. So regarding Tulsi Maharani, we have to really go in details on how we deal with Tulsi Maharani. Like it is said that now we can cut the mandiris only with the sharp, this scissors, and that too we have to pay obeisances and beg forgiveness after that. And as far as other trees are concerned, Rupa was pretty against about cutting the trees. And that is one of the reasons even vegetarian food is considered to be contaminated, because it involves pain for other living entities.
Yeah.
So we offer it to Krishna so that plants can also get benefit.
Yeah, I understand that, but why did Krishna create in such a way that we give pain to others? Maybe
Okay.
they are, like, I'm just finding difficult, and especially even if you cut Tulsi Maharani with the scissors, it's more painful. Yes.
So why did Krishna create?
Yeah, like why did Krishna create? Why didn't he give us a better solution for our daily needs? Why, like, it's almost like you're forced to give pain to others, you know?
Because I didn't read from Acharya directly, so I can't directly explain. But what we understand is that there are gradations. There are gradations of consciousness. So especially in the stages of Vanaprastha, many times people take only the fruits which are fallen. So the fruits which are naturally fallen, they take it because it involves no pain. There are many people who follow that lifestyle of no pain to other living entities. Otherwise, the law of nature is Ahastani Sastana Upadani Chatuspadam Falgani Tutramedam Jiva Jivas Jivna. So one entity is food for another, that is in general.
Yeah, yes. That is.
But if somebody can follow that standard of not giving pain to others as far as possible, then that is considered the best consciousness. And if really you want to not give pain to others, better go back to Godhead. You don't have to give pain to anyone. You can just give pleasure to everyone. So this whole world is not a place for gentlemen, Prabhupada would say.
Yes, that is there. Now, every time we pick Tulsi, we'll think twice, like, I don't know. Anyway.
That is why one of the things we have to do after picking up Tulsi, we have to beg forgiveness. Because we have to do it somehow to please Krishna, we are doing it. So that is why many times many devotees recommend that we can pick up the Tulsi Maharani which has just fallen.
Okay, we can do that, huh?
You can do that.
Okay.
So then the Tulsi never becomes contaminated. So if they are fallen, we just bless them, offer to Krishna.
Okay. Even if it's a little dry and not very fresh?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay.
Krishna
Thank
will
you
be,
very much.
Krishna will be pleased by our respect towards Tulsi.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hare Hare. Yes.
Hare
Prem
Krishna.
and Gopinath ko.
Prabhuji, in Canto 3, Chapter 5, text number 39 onwards, so Devatas, they are glorifying to Krishna, glorification of the lotus feet. Then they say about the unqualification and the qualification of the devotees who can approach him. Then they say, give us direction so that we can. So this set of devatas are different, and here
Yeah,
Brahma, and here this Brahma who is creating, and text number 29 of this chapter, 8 varieties, demigods. Now Brahma is creating. This set of devatas are different.
yeah. So they are part of Prakrit and these are called part of Vakrat. I'll just show you who are these demigods. So just a minute. So this is something which you have learned before already in third canto, and that is the reason I didn't repeat it. So these demigods here, 10 sense devatas, we are seeing here, they stay with Mahavishnu, these 10 sense devatas. So these are the devatas in the left side bottom of the chart. When Ankar interacts with mode of goodness, from that comes Karta, Karta Bhav, Gyan Shakti, Adidev, and then finally 9 and 10 sense demigods. So these 10 sense devatas are the devatas who stay with Mahavishnu, and they are in charge of 10 senses in the entire creation in all the universes. It is like we have a home ministry in the central government and home ministry in the state government. So home minister of central government has power over all the home ministers of state governments. So it is something like that.
That means these devatas, they are glorifying to Karana Lokasai Vishnu.
Yes, yes.
Okay, continue, Prabhuji.
And they offer the prayers for the purpose because they were not able to mix with each other. So after they offer the prayers, they got the energy and the ability to mix with each other. Because unless until they mix with each other, 24 elements cannot produce any creation. So they offer the prayers so that they can mix with each other. So Lord then sent this Vibra Shakti or called Kali, because of which they were able to mix with each other.
And here, this demigods, the present chapter we are studying, Brahmaji created the demigods. The 33 Tatis Koti Deva Devi, this Brahmaji has created.
Yeah, this Brahmaji has created, and these all, that is what we have described. Yakshas, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Kimpurusas, they all are created by Brahmaji. And especially the demigods who are administrators of the world, they change their positions 14 times in one day of Brahma. That's each Manvantar, their post keeps changing. But these demigods, 10 sense devatas who are created in beginning, they remain in the same position till next creation. They are there.
No, in the beginning, the mind plus 10 sense devatas, they will be always there because they are for all the universes, as you told. So many universes will be coming in, many universes will be going out. So they are all predominating things. I mean, they're eternally there. Till the time Mahavishnu is there.
Now they may or may not be eternally there, we are not very sure, because they are created after Ahankar is created. So maybe after there is a reverse of creation that is called Pralaya. These 10 devatas in mind, they merge back into Ahankar and mode of goodness. Then they merge back into Mahatattva. Then they merge back into Pradhan, which becomes unmanifest. So that is how after the end of life of Brahma, they also become unmanifest. They become manifest only when there is creation again. That answer.
But many Brahmas will be coming. For example, this Brahma, his lifetime will be going off. Another Brahma will come. So many Brahmandas are there. So then how, after the end of this Brahma, they will be merging back?
See, after this Brahma has, you can say his lifespan is full, there is a reverse of creation. When there is a reverse of creation, all these elements, like we are going from up to down in the chart, we go from down to up. Finally, everything becomes unmanifest as Pradhan. So then these demigods and 10 sun demigods, if let us say they are eternal, at least they will not be manifest. If they are not eternal, then maybe someone else may take this position as 10 sun demigods. We are very sure about one demigod which stay in Vaikuntha. They are eternal. And the demigods in this world are prototypes. So these 10 devatas are there. And then we have the other ones which are created by Brahma himself. Okay.
Okay. Then another question, I do have. Or text number 27. Text number 27 of this chapter. Oh, good Vidura, the last three creations and the creation of the demigods, the 10th creation, are by Kruta. By Kruta. Okay. The last three creations, means there's a previous text number 26, the human beings, and 25, the birds, and 24, some animals. Is that?
Actually, as I see from Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, Vaikrat is the one which is created by Brahma himself. So just a minute. Yeah. So secondary creation created by Brahma, I'll just show you. Maybe I'll display that translation in front of you. This translation check कर देता हूँ. So there are three secondary creations made by Brahma called Vaikrats. In addition, that creation of devatas who are described previously were also produced from Ahankar and Sattva-guna. That is given Prakrit creation. This is the one which is created by Lord Mahavishnu, Prakrit. So what we understand is that the creation of devatas also occurs in the creation made by Brahma later called Vaikrat. So secondary creation is called Vaikrat and primary creation is called Prakrit. So this is what we learn from Chakravarti Path purports. So it's a very simple definition. So anything created by Brahma after he was created is called Prakrit, and anything before that is called Prakrit.
Anything is created by Mahavishnu is a Prakriti.
Yes, yes.
And not anything was created by Brahma. It is been mentioned the last three creations and the creation of demigod, the 10th creation, are by Kruta. That means only human beings, the demigods, human beings, birds, and animals. The back way, if you go text number 25.
Yeah, I understood. See, you are going into translation by this particular Bhaktivedanta purports. And what I was saying is, I was saying from Chakravarti Path purports. So from Chakravarti Path purport, it's very clear. It is he's talking that creation of Brahma is called Vaikrat. And Prabhupada has not elaborately spoken about that in his purport on 27. That is what I see. How Prakrit and Vikrit. Because many times, yeah, 20 purport only. Prabhupada, yeah.
So my question is the last three creations means what? Last three creations meaning is what? 27 text.
Now I understood. See, how you're counting three creation is last verse, last to last verse, and before that verse. That is how you're counting the last three. And okay. This is three. These three.
So the last three means that may be human beings one and the 28 items, 28 types of the animals and the birds maybe. But 28
Now, so last three can mean three planetary systems also. Last three can just mean the last three items. And last three can also mean even the last three ones. So that is not like very clear here, what is given here. What I will do, I couldn't find it very clearly in like Prabhupada has not given purport. And in Chakravarti Pass, it looks like as if this is entire Brahma's creation is Vakrit. So I'll see other this also, other commentaries. If I can find it, I'll get back to you in the next class. Okay.
okay. Krishna says, Ong Vijayavata Pita. I am the seed giving father of everyone. And here all the creation been done by Brahmaji.
No, that is like saying, were you created by your father? Premanand Gopinath Pro?
By his father.
No. You created by your father, yes or no?
Yes.
But your soul, your eternal, how you are created by your father? If your soul, how are you created by your father? So if you think you are this body, then you are created by your father. But if you are thinking, no, I am so, then you are not created by your father. Similarly, in that sense, Krishna says, Aham Vayabija Pita. He is the one who impregnates the material nature with all the living entities. So, in the beginning of creation, but through its glance, Kal Karmi Swabhav, through that glance. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Hari. Okay, so enough. We had a lot of creation now. So we may not start the next chapter. And you have any question till now, even from the primary creation also you may ask. So already we had.
Yes, project.
Yeah.
We have text number 16. The sense perceptions are created in the third creation. The sense perceptions means
Sense perception means, just a minute. It is verse number 16.
16.
In which the metal ingredients, metal knowledge, and metal universe is correct. The sense perceptions are created in the third creation, and from these the elements are generated.
Is it Gyanendriyas?
So just a minute. I'll show you through chart. That will be easy for you also to understand. Okay. So sense perception, when we say these are tanmatras, so they are created from ignorance. So from passion, the pran, the 10 senses and intelligence is created. And sense objects are called tanmatras. So they are ras, root, gandh, shabd, sparsh. So all 5 of them. So that we call as sense perception.
The Gyanendriyas, 5 Gyanendriyas.
5 Gyanendriyas, their perception. See, Gyanendriyas are Indriyas, but they're Indriya Vishay. Like for eyes, there is root. For smell, nose, there is gandh. For ears, there is shabd. For skin, there is sparsh. Let me check Chakravarti purport also, what he has written in 16th. Okay, he also writes very clearly, it is tanmatras. And the verse also says, Bhud sargas tritiyastu tanmatro dravya shaktiman. So these 5 tanmatras are these, Roop, Ras, Gandh, Shabd, Sparsh, which I showed just now. So I'll show you it again. So these are the 5 tanmatras here. Roop, Ras, Gandh, Shabd, Sparsh. So they are called 5 sense perceptions. We're able to see here, right side bottom.
Yes. Yes.
So these are the one. Sound, touch, form, taste and smell. They are called 5 tanmatras. For ears, there is sound. For skin, there is touch. For eyes, there is form. For tongue, there is taste. And for nose, there is smell. So these 5 are called 5 tanmatras. And if you want to hear more about creation, you can just send me a order that one you want to hear. I can send you a link. There I have explained very detailed about these creations. Primary and secondary creation, I have given some classes. So there I have explained in detail. So a lot of question and answer and big session. Any other question? Or we can end here. 2 minutes are remaining.
Can you please share your telephone number or WhatsApp number?
I send it in chat box. If you want, I can send it again. You can see here 842882619. I've sent to you. The second one, the second message in the chat box.
Okay. Thank you, bro, so much. So many doubts have been cleared today. Even the first, the mind and the 10 demigods, they have prayers. And now the demigods of Brahma, after Brahma being created, this doubt has been cleared. Thank you so much. And this, the last question, what I told, if you can explain in the next class, last 3 creations, text number 27.
What I'll do, I'll go through other commentaries also. If I can find it, some clarity there, then I'll answer. If not, then it is a confusion. So, unless until some acharyas have explained it so clearly, it is difficult to understand.
Okay, bro, we'll try if possible. Thank you.
Thank you.